Welcome to the Halliwell Manor. I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And this is Season 6, Episode 12 of Charmed.
Prince Charmed.
Okay, how the fuck have we not got Magic School or the Chris reveal at this point in the season? It is Episode 12. We are over halfway through the season. Why do we not know what Chris's deal is yet?
I think this season, I think it all happens in one episode. I think we get Magic School, we get the headmaster, we get the kidnapping of Wyatt. I think that all happens within one episode.
Jesus Christ. Because I know Gideon is established. I know he does stuff for a little while before.
Does he? Do you? Do you know that?
Gideon's like the best villain Charmed did. How has he not shown up yet?
Maybe he was the best villain because he didn't overstay his welcome.
The Seer style.
Mm-hmm. I do have to...
Although her defeat made no sense.
Well, yeah. I do have to say about this episode, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and I enjoyed it more than last week's. I really thought last week was going to be the high point of the season for me, and it was not good.
Yeah, Hippie Grams was not as fun as promised. I was on this episode. I feel like we were on a run of really fun ones, and this one's fine. It weirdly reminds me of an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which has a very similar premise.
Well, I mean, you can't have a magic show and not do an episode about creating a magical boyfriend. That's just a rule. It's just, you gotta do it.
Okay, but this whole thing feels laden with consent issues. I mean, this is basically the girl equivalent of, like, the weird science guys in the movie, or Warren from Buffy.
Okay, so...
Also, is that a weird gendered thing where men use science to create the perfect woman and women use magic to create the perfect man?
Yeah, remember we talked about this when we were talking about Best Friends Whenever.
Yes, time travel.
Yeah, men use, in fiction, men generally use science to time travel and women generally use magic to time travel. It is definitely a cultural divide, a weird thing. Okay...
Except in Best Friends Whenever, when they use the power of friendship to time travel.
Friendship is magic. Didn't you watch My Little Pony?
I didn't, but...
Okay, so consent issues, though. I have to take exception with you lumping all of these things together.
All right, go on.
Okay, so first of all, the guys in Weird Science, I do not think that is a consent issue. Because here's the thing about sex robots.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think sex robots have a consent issue unless they're sentient, which I feel like most of the sex robot things are pretty clear on them not being. Or if they are sentient, then they are capable of consenting.
Exactly. By definition, if they are sentient enough to consent, and they are consenting, then you're good. And if they are not capable of making that decision, then they are not human, and there's no consent issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're basically just very, very fancy sex devices.
Exactly, yeah. So there's no issue with Weird Science. Unless you had a different...
Or Warren from Buffy.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Is Warren okay when he makes April, but not okay when he makes the Buffy bot?
Warren is... Okay, no, the Buffy bot I think is okay.
Really?
Yes.
You think having a super realistic sex doll built of someone who hates you in real life
No, what Spike is doing is creepy, but it's not a consent issue.
Okay.
It's creepy. It's the way making AI porn of someone else is creepy.
Or that guy who made you in that wrestling video game.
Yes. It's creepy, but
Do you want me to cut that?
No, it's fine. You can leave it in. It's
okay.
fine. It's creepy, but it's not a violation of consent. It's just...
I'm sure you stopped hanging out with that guy after you found out about that.
Yeah, I did. But it's just a creepy guy being creepy. It's not a violation of consent per se. The Buffy bot is exactly what I'm talking about with a robot. She's either consenting, because she's very excited to have sex with Spike, or she's not sentient, so we're good. We're good with the Buffy bot. April's not a consent issue, because she wants to have sex with Warren. But I would say that April displays more sentience than the Buffy bot does, and it's not okay that he just locks her up.
Yeah.
So
the fact that he abandons her, and also the fact that he programmed her to feel pain if she didn't respond when he called for her. That I'm not defending Warren.
Yeah, so
by all means, I do not want this to be taken as a defense of Warren. But if he was just the sex robot guy, I think no one would have had issues with him.
Yeah, so there's abuse there.
Yes.
Not a consent issue, but there's abuse. So that's what, and then the other stuff that happens, that's just full on not okay.
Yeah, no. Warren is the worst. Everyone was happy when he got flayed alive. No one really thinks that Willow got major evil points for killing Warren.
Right. That's why they were like, "No, Willow, don't do that or you'll be evil." And then she flays him alive, and then they're like, "No, Willow, don't kill Jonathan." And
Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you played right into the joke there. Jonathan and the other one.
Yeah, Jonathan and the other one. Don't kill Jonathan and Andrew or you'll be evil. And then she doesn't, so she's fine.
Yeah. I mean, she also killed Rack, but he was a drug dealer.
And a demon.
Was he a demon? I assumed he was human.
Oh, I thought he was a demon.
I thought he was just like a warlock or something. I mean, I guess kind of... Buffy, she didn't, but she thought she killed Amy's mom. So, like...
Yeah.
I guess if you're... Well, I mean, she didn't really kill Rack in self-defense as much as she just wanted his magic and horribly murdered him for it. But,
yeah, no, I thought he was a demon, though. I guess maybe he wasn't.
I mean, I have no evidence that he wasn't. He could have just been a demon with minimal face makeup.
That's what I thought he was. Yeah, that's why I was so...
Fun fact, he was also Kralik from the season 3 episode of Buffy, the one where Giles drugs her to take away her powers for the Cruciatum.
Speaking of consent issues.
Yes. He was the insane vampire that did had Buffy trapped in the house.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I feel like I want to do something with parallels about, like, people who play multiple demons, like whether or not those demons have parallels. I know it's just about, like, who's going to look right in the costume doing the stunts, but I wonder if you could come up with like a unified theory of demon actors.
Yeah, a connection between. I mean, what's his face? Brian. He was Luke in the first episode of Buffy.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know there are actors who played so many demons, but I don't know their names.
Brian Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
He was on this show twice. He was the Horseman of War in the episode with the Three Horsemen, and then he was Kronos in the Titans.
Oh, okay.
You could probably do a connection there somewhere.
I feel, yeah, definitely. That feels easy to do.
Also, if you've seen, Brian Thompson has been the demon in everything. He was also the judge in Buffy. He was Luke in the pilot, and then they brought him back as the judge, which you can do more easily in Buffy because, they're slathered in makeup, so...
I mean, they used to be on Charmed.
Yes.
And then they just decided demons are just human guys.
Heck, Andrew was one of Harmony's minions in the first second episode of season 5. Which is very weird when you're listening for it, and it's like, hey, look, Andrew's a vampire.
He's got a distinctive voice, doesn't he? All right, we should talk about Charmed instead of Buffy.
Yes, we should. So, we open on a beautiful dreamscape where Piper is with a swarthy lover-type man who's taking her out on a date. Is this supposed to be Fireman Greg? Because I'm pretty sure it's not Fireman Greg.
No, it's her dream guy. That's why it's...
But it's not the guy they summon later.
I thought
Is it supposed to look like a whiter version of him?
That's problematic.
Mm.
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of problematic stuff to discuss with
Okay, so before we get too into, like, her weird dream sequence where she's meeting her perfect man to go skiing, which is, like, the least sexy activity you can do, I think.
Seriously, it's awful. It's awful.
I
People
mean,
say they like skiing, but they are liars.
A few weeks ago, we talked about how Piper has weird ideas about sex anyway.
Yeah.
But this just feeds into that. There's something weird going on visually with this episode. I feel like it was shot on video instead of film.
Yeah, I could see that.
It looks really cheap, and as a result, in this dream sequence in the opening, I thought it was going to be a soap opera sequence. I thought we were going to be doing a soap opera thing.
Yeah, like in that episode with... It wasn't Barbas. It was someone else who was making their fears manifest or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And she had, like, the really sexy dream man, and then he turned into Leo.
Yes, yeah. But
Is this just a thing with Piper? That's... Anyway, so she's having a conversation with her dream man, and he's like, what do you really want, Piper? And she hears Wyatt crying and she wakes up and, there's a demon in Wyatt's room.
Okay, the demon is, like, waving this
wand.
Yeah, like, Hot Topic wand. Like, not even Hot Topic, like...
He's a white guy with dreads, that's how you can tell he's evil.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where you would buy this wand at. I don't know what mass market store you would buy this wand at, but I know that the store in my hometown where you would buy it at was called Elysian Fields.
Yeah, it has very... You buy this at a magic shop vibes. I honestly think I had one of these when I was in my, teen Wiccan phase, which I think
I might still have one in a box somewhere with all of my teen Wiccan stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
we all went through it.
If you're listening to this podcast, you definitely did.
Yeah.
Yes, he's waving the wand over Wyatt, and Wyatt's got his little bubble up, but I just want to point out that this is like a battle of attrition thing. Apparently, in this episode, like, if you wave this thing over him enough, it'll just eventually work.
Yeah. I mean, he's a being of infinite power. It probably shouldn't work that way.
I know, right? Anyway, Piper runs in and vanquishes the demon real fast.
Yeah, she blows him up, so not that powerful.
Yeah.
And his little wand drops to the floor and then gets blorped back to more dudes in robes who are chanting and looking at a shimmering illusion of Wyatt.
So that's the thing about these demons, or this cult, or whatever it is. They're not very powerful, but there's a lot of them, so they just keep coming. Much like vampires on Buffy.
Yeah.
And they believe that Wyatt is their reincarnated leader.
Yeah, and since he came out of the wrong vagina, he's good instead of evil, and they need to reconvince him to be evil again.
Well, he's still young enough that he hasn't chosen his witchly path, or whatever this show thinks morality is.
Well, remember, when a witch's powers first activate, they have 24 hours to choose whether to be good or evil.
But apparently, if you're born with powers, then I guess it doesn't happen until you turn 18. I suppose you have to be, like, legally an adult for that to happen, so when you turn 18...
Then you have 24 hours.
Then you have 24 hours, exactly.
So we actually get some pretty cool opening shots of San Francisco. They've got this really cool thing with fog moving in. I like it. I'm not sure if we've seen it before.
Yeah, I think they are new shots, and they are focused on the Golden Gate Bridge, which is interesting because we're going to spend some time there with with Chris and Leo, since we're not going to Elderland ever again, I think. I think we never go back there again.
So we cut to Piper fretting over Wyatt. She's rocking him. She puts him back in the crib.
Okay.
She stares at a photo of her and Leo and Wyatt.
Okay, no, it is like a 90s power ballad music montage where it's cutting between photos or shots of Wyatt and Piper and pictures of them.
There's a point where Piper turns around in slow motion and the screen kind of fades between her and Wyatt, and I'm like, is Piper? It's like, and they're staring into each other's eyes, and I'm like, is Piper falling in love with Wyatt? Is that because that's the way it's shot.
It is the weirdest directorial choice.
And the song that's playing underneath it is like a Liz Phair D track. Or someone who wants to be Liz Phair. You remember Liz Phair?
I remember Liz Phair. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
People turned on her so hard because she did that one kind of poppy album. It was good.
Anyway, downstairs, Paige and Phoebe and Daryl. Hey, Daryl's here.
Yeah. Daryl and his wife, Sheila.
Yes, they are setting up for Piper's birthday party because it's Piper's birthday. And
every year they try to throw Piper a surprise party, but every year Paige ruins it. Paige, you've known her for... It has to have been, 2 birthdays?
I know, right? Paige just got here. Also, Paige is sad that she doesn't know what to give Piper. Phoebe asks if she wants to come in on a gift with her, and Paige is like, no, I gotta figure it out myself. And Phoebe's like, you know what the perfect gift would be? This charm bracelet.
It was a charm bracelet that Mom gave Piper, but then Prue lost it.
So really you're just fucking with Paige, right? Because you don't know where that bracelet is. Nobody knows where it is.
Yeah, and Paige is like, did you try a locator spell? And Phoebe's like, duh, we're witches. Of course I tried a locator spell. And it's, clearly you didn't try a good one because you didn't find it.
Right? Did you try having a good witch do a locator spell?
Yeah, I'm sure Paige could find it.
Right? So they discussed the party guest list, and basically neither Phoebe nor Paige's boyfriends is coming because Phoebe's boyfriend is off jet-setting doing his businessman thing. Paige's boyfriend is afraid of magic now.
Okay, yeah, we've completely shifted on Richard. Where before his thing was that he liked to casually use magic and it made the sisters not trust him. But now he's trying not to use magic because it's like an addiction or something. And Daryl asks, he's like, because Paige is like, oh, Richard doesn't want to be around magic. And Daryl's like, he doesn't like magic. And Paige is like, magic doesn't like him. Which, okay, like, I mean, honestly, I would get it if he wanted to avoid using magic because of the whole his girlfriend dying thing.
But that's not what's happening. It's weird. I think we just need to roll with it, honestly. I think we just need to accept that they've completely changed what Richard's motivation is, and we just have to, like...
Well, Richard is Cole light, so it makes sense. We're repeating the same character beats we saw with Cole.
Yeah. We just have to relax and let the gaslighting happen, I think. I think that's what we have to do.
Which is too bad, because I think, honestly, Richard is kind of Paige's best love interest.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Like,
better than ending up with a cop, which is what happens.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I guess. So...
Hey, she got herself an Andy.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Anyway, Leo's not coming for obvious reasons. Those reasons being that they're divorced for
no reason. He's here all the time.
And they're not asking Fireman Greg, because that would be weird. So you can see the look of panic and horror in Daryl and Sheila's eyes when they realize it's just going to be the two of them and the three sisters.
Yeah, it's not a situation you want to be in.
Definitely not.
Because Piper doesn't want to invite Fireman Greg because she's swearing off dudes. And Phoebe's like, you can't do that. That's my thing. Giving up on love is my thing. You can't take that from me, Piper.
Yeah, okay, so she was up in the nursery having just vanquished the demon, she tells her sisters. Oh, this demon, by the way. They're like, what demon? And she's like, I vanquished it, it's fine, don't even worry about it. And she realized that her job is to be a mom now. She's not going to worry about guys. Love is over for her. She had her soulmate, and that was Leo, and now that's over, and now her job is just to be a mom.
I had a soulmate. It was Leo, and he's gone now. Except he's not. He's in your house every day. He's always eating your chips and dealing with your sisters, and like, why are we pretending this is a plot? And the thing is, I don't think they ever, like, officially get back together. I think they kind of just drift back into being a couple.
I think you're right.
Because, again, he's always around. Like, honestly, it kind of becomes Leo's show at a certain point.
Oh, my God. You know what? I'm actually kind of... I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm actually kind of excited to talk about the avatars.
Yeah, I love the Dark Leo stuff.
It's so bad.
It's so bad, but it's fun bad. Leo's walking down a darker path.
Wait, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not there yet.
Yes.
Oh.
So, yeah, Piper is giving up on love, and she's just going to spend all of her time protecting Wyatt, and Phoebe's like, what about sex? And Piper's like, being a mother is the most magical thing a woman can be. Sex pales in comparison to the glory of motherhood. And Phoebe's like, Jesus Christ. Check out J.D. Vance over here.
I know, right? I think Phoebe's just worried because she knows that if Piper's going to be the mother, Paige is definitely going to be the maiden, and that leaves her as the crone.
Yeah. You're already one husband deep, Phoebe. That's halfway to cronehood.
Wait. How many husbands do you need to be a crone?
I'm assuming 3.
Okay. So you need to have used up 3 husbands.
Yeah. Because, we know she briefly marries Dex and then gets divorced with him because he finds out that she's actually Phoebe Halliwell and not Phoebe's cousin.
Oh, again, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
And then she marries Coop. She gets married 3 times.
Okay.
And Piper's the one who keeps on cranking out kids, so...
Wow.
Phoebe may be the middle sister, but I think she might be this party's crone.
Interesting. All right, anyway, the Order of Evil Demons who think Wyatt is their leader are downstairs, are down in the underworld, wherever.
The ultimate downstairs. Anyway, they're trying to drain his energy bubble from afar, which, why did you go into his room in the first place if this is something you could do?
The one who's, they can't do it. The one who's trying to do that immediately bursts into flame.
Well, that's the thing. They've got a bunch of dudes. They're just going to keep doing it until they can get past the bubble.
Back at the manor, upstairs, in the attic, Paige has figured out what she's gonna get Piper for her birthday, and that is a man.
A man with a penis that Piper can have sex with.
Yep. She's gonna cast a spell that will make a man.
And Phoebe's like, you're making a love potion? And she's like, no, I'm making a dude. And Phoebe's like, you can't use magic to make a sex toy. And it's like, well, Phoebe, back in season 1, you used magic to roofie a bunch of dudes into having sex with you, which I think is, worse.
She also did that spell that turned animals into men. Or she helped the other girls rewrite their spell that turned animals into men.
Yeah, so, maybe back off the judgment train here.
So this is going to be a construct that is the perfect man and just lasts until midnight and just wants to serve.
Okay, I'm going to put this out there. Sabrina the Teenage Witch is a better witch than these two, because when she built the man out of man dough in that one episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch...
Yeah?
I'm sorry. Other way around. These two are better witches than Sabrina. Because these two have built it into this temporary man. They've built into him the okayness of imminent death. He's not afraid of death. Unlike the dough man Sabrina creates in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, who realizes that the spell only lasts 12 hours and spends the entirety of it freaking out because he's going to die in very short order. So, point to the charmed ones. These adult women are better witches than Sabrina.
Yes.
Honestly, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was weirdly dark in a lot of the early episodes.
Before they just had her straight up stop being a witch?
Before it was Sabrina, the girl who works at a magazine and has 2 roommates.
Yes.
But, she had that cousin who liked to shrink people and keep them in jars. And Penn Teller, those are 2 different people. Penn Jillette.
Uh-huh.
Penn Jillette's character was always blowing up his secretaries.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying it was, horrifying or anything, but there was a lot of weird, gross stuff. Her mom having that thing where she turned into a wax ball if she ever set eyes on her.
Yeah, no, there was definitely darkness in that. Yeah. Yeah. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, not that far off.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to focus on this spell, though, because I don't feel like what Chris does later when he fucks with it makes any sense.
Okay.
Okay. So, they've got a cauldron, and Paige is writing down on a notebook, on pieces of paper that she's throwing into the cauldron, traits that they want the man to have.
This is actually really similar to the spell that Phoebe cast in season 1, except for that it drew men who already had those traits to her. Yes. And in this, they're creating a man to fill with these traits.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's good listener, handy.
Good with kids, which is weird because he's a sex robot you're making for her for 12 hours, but I mean, I guess she does take him to the zoo with Wyatt. I thought they were going to swing here, or, swerve here. Because
yeah, Paige does, she's like, and a big...
And Phoebe's like, Paige, and I was expecting her to say, hard, but she's like, what? He needs to have
sex.
It's for sex. He needs a big dick, and Phoebe's like, okay. So I'm kind of impressed that they actually just went there. They weren't, cutesy around it.
I mean, I would say nice size, but not too big is what you want.
Yes.
But that's...
Warm in the night when I'm writing her tight embrace, tight embrace.
Okay, but so keep in mind, that's...
It took me forever to get how dirty that line actually is. So Chris is upset at Piper because she's not taking the demon trying to do something to Wyatt seriously. And she's like, I killed him. Whatever. Who cares?
Didn't, just last week they have a demon that when they vanquished it, it just turned into goo and then reformed?
Yeah, well, the Phoenix Witches, this has been a thing.
I mean, Piper, just because you blew up a demon, I wouldn't assume that it's done, you know?
Yeah. And Chris is like, you can't be just hovering over Wyatt all the time, protecting him from whatever. Like, you have to trust me with this child at some point.
And Piper's like, but I realized as a mom, it's my job to hover over him all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go out with the fireman anymore. I've given up on love to protect Wyatt full time. And Chris is like, it's very important to me that you don't entirely give up on love, or at very least not entirely give up on sex.
It's weird that we, the audience, do not yet know what Chris's deal is, because he's obviously concerned that she not give up on sex so that he can be conceived, but we, the audience, are not in on that yet.
Well, it's like that weird thing where, like, Bianca had the, like, knife to Piper's heart, in the episode with Bianca in it, and he's like, Bianca, you don't want anything to happen to me, you're not going to hurt her. And clearly, they clearly knew. Why do we, the audience, not know at this point?
It is very strange.
So, yeah, I kind of don't get a lot of what Chris does in this episode. Like, Wyatt's back to activating his shield around Chris, which is very, very funny.
Yes. Leo has left a present for Piper in Wyatt's bedroom, and she's not opening it yet. I don't get how people do that on TV. Like, don't you want to know what's in there? Open it! I don't have that kind of willpower.
Piper really feels like she's supposed to be under a spell or on drugs or something this episode. She seems so dreamlike and out of it.
Yeah.
Which it's probably just because Holly Marie Combs was in her first trimester, and it's a very, very hard time in a pregnancy.
Yeah, but it is. It's like she's had vitality drained out of her. She's like, oh, well, my life is over. I'm just going to be a mom now.
Who am I to put my needs before his destiny? And Chris is like, this isn't you, Piper. You're always whining about wanting a normal life. And she's like, no, I have a special child, and therefore a divine duty. And Chris is like, oh my god.
I do feel really, I mean, I know that this is not the point of the episode. I know that she's not supposed to be feeling this way, but I do not like the way the charmed ones have a destiny, but now their destiny is just for Wyatt to come into existence. Nope, don't like that.
I mean, theoretically, they already fulfilled their destiny, right? They killed the source of all evil.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh.
I mean, they did the thing that they were supposed to do. Wyatt is their reward. This whole series is technically kind of a postscript after season 4.
That's a weird way to think of it, but that makes sense. Alright, upstairs, they're in the attic, they're finishing up the Perfect Man spell. And this is where you and I had a discussion about consent issues.
Yes, because they put pheromones into the mix to make sure that Piper will have sex with him.
Okay, I do not think that that the pheromones will make Piper have sex with him, and I think we see that when he's actually created. They just make him smell good to her, and it's not a problem with consent when people just smell good to you. You can still make decisions. It doesn't alter your mind.
I guess. It feels mind control adjacent at best to me. I would not trust, but you know what? There are way worse consent things in fiction and Charmed, so whatever.
I mean, it's no worse than making him physically attractive.
Which they do. They call forth the man, and he appears all naked and greased up in front of them. I thought we were going to get some upper butt with him because they did a lot of back stuff.
But no.
Nope. Not really pushing the envelope when it comes to dude fan. Is it fan service? It's weird because this is a show that's, for women. This is definitely women were the audience in Charmed. I know we've talked about this before, but it's very weird how little men are sexualized in this show, given the intended audience.
And how much the sisters are sexualized.
Yeah. It's very weird.
The show is very much... It very often seems to be catering towards the male gaze in a way that is weird for a show that is ostensibly for women.
Yeah, and like I didn't see the Nielsen's on this, but I'm assuming that, majority female viewership.
Yeah.
I guess it's before they shifted to making shows for girls, mostly just shirtless guys talking really loud in each other's mouths.
You mean like Riverdale?
Like Riverdale or Teen Wolf or
Vampire
Supernatural.
Diaries.
Yeah.
So the perfect man brings breakfast up to Piper in bed, and she's like, why is there a strange man in my room?
I mean, honestly, credit to them. This is a fantastic reaction that Piper is having. I mean, I guess credit to her for not immediately blowing this guy up.
Right? Anyway, Paige and Phoebe run into the room after him, and they're like, it's your birthday present! Happy birthday! And she's like, you hired me a gigolo? And they're like, no, we made it with magic! Okay,
so I think we need to talk about this weird thing a little bit. The guy is Latino.
Oh, yeah, the weird sexualization, the weird exotification of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can just say that they did that Phoebe said she was doing that, and then, like, just say it's problematic and...
move on.
Yeah, take as a given that there's super problematic racial stuff happening.
Referring to him as a Latin lover, use of the word muchacho, some ill-advised guitar chords.
Yeah, your basic early 2000s racist nonsense.
Hey, it could be more racist than this, I guess. It's not the worst thing Charmed ever did.
Oh, yeah.
You remember in Buffy that one bit where Buffy imitates Kendra's accent and you're like, ooh, that's not a good look on you, Buffy.
Oof, yeah.
It's the line from 30 Rock, don't imitate other races.
Definitely. Alright, so Piper is like, I told you guys I am done with romance. And they're like, we know, that's why we made this sexy man.
And Paige literally shoves him into Piper.
Okay, I just want to say, the fact that Piper is like, no, and needs to be talked into, like, going out on a date with him, I think answers the question of consent.
Well, she changes her mind after smelling him, so maybe it doesn't.
Okay, that's fair.
Paige pushes him into her arms, and she's like, oh, are you wearing cologne? And he's like, no, because I know you don't like it. This is just what I smell like naturally. I don't wear perfume at all. It is referencing Jennifer Coolidge's fake British character on Friends to obscure. Was anyone watching Friends by that time?
I feel like the kids now watch it on streaming.
If so, it is one of the better late Friends bits, the Jennifer Coolidge fake English lady.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about my least favorite thing from Friends.
The thing where Joey pretends he can speak French?
The thing where Phoebe is trying to teach Joey French, and he can't repeat words that she's saying to him. That's the whole joke, and it's a B-plot. There's like 10 minutes of the episode that's just Phoebe saying very simple French words, and Matt LeBlanc going, floobity-doobity.
Okay, so the perfect man is gonna take Piper on a date where he takes her and Wyatt to the zoo, which is like, I guess I am a mom and I don't feel like that's...
Yeah, don't you want to have a sexy date at the zoo with your baby?
Look,
hot.
Just to preview this, when she comes back, she's wearing this like ridiculous balloon animal hat, and I'm like, that's the opposite of sex. That hat is the opposite of sex.
Also, isn't this going to be confusing to Wyatt?
Yeah, he's a witch. He gets it.
I thought you were going to say he's a baby. He doesn't care.
Pick one. Pick one.
So, Chris and Leo are meeting on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, which, yep, this is a thing now.
Yep. Chris is letting Leo know about the guy from the cult that showed up and tried to make Wyatt evil.
And Chris floats the idea, hey, why don't we get the sisters to bind Wyatt's powers? That way, no demons will be coming after him, because what would the point be? And Leo's like, the sisters would never do that. Even though I know Chris is doing this for actually not nefarious reasons for a change. He's doing this to try to, avert the future where Wyatt's an evil dictator who kills everyone.
Uh-huh.
But, no, it's a good idea to bind Wyatt's powers. Remember that one time he made a dragon?
Yeah, and the cleaners were, literally going to erase him from existence?
Yeah, and we know binding someone's powers is not permanent. The girl's powers were bound for, 30 years, and they're fine now.
Yeah, I mean, haven't you seen the Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah, the one with the cornfield?
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea to bind Wyatt's powers, and also it's really in line with Piper's whole normal life shtick, so...
I mean, didn't you watch Farscape? Maybe you don't want a toddler with a plasma cannon.
I can assure you they did not watch Farscape.
I'm right, though.
Yes.
Toddlers with plasma cannons is a terrible idea.
So, back at the demon encampment...
Downstairs.
Back downstairs. Which is also kind of Stonehenge.
Oh yeah, it does have a Stonehenge feel.
This guy with, villain face is like, let me go. I'll sacrifice my life for the cause. I'll disguise myself as someone the boy's familiar with, and then I'll get him that way.
And then they kind of look through his memories magically at all of the people he's seen. And
all of the men he's seen. Because wouldn't you just shapeshift to look like Piper? Wouldn't that be the logical thing to do?
Yeah, I guess.
Or Leo, I mean.
Yeah. Well, they're not. They're shapeshifting to look like Daryl.
Oh my god. These demons are brilliant.
And back at the manor...
Oh my god, they're doing it. They're finally doing it.
Yeah.
Wards.
Yeah, Paige is setting up a
crystal cage.
Thank you. Around the manor.
And Phoebe's on the phone with Jason, blah, blah, blah. Boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Paige says loudly, tell Jason hi from your sister that's setting up magic crystals to stop demons from coming in to corrupt your nephew into being an evil magic dude. And Phoebe's like, Paige, you're gonna blow our secret. And Paige is like, do we care at this point? Do we care about people
Well, she does tell Phoebe. She's like, you gotta tell him at some point. And Phoebe's like, yeah, but I don't want to tell him over the phone.
So Chris and Leo come in to explain the deal with the cult, that they think that Wyatt is the reincarnation of their evil leader, and that they're going to try to flip his morality using the, wand of morality flipping.
Sure. And then Piper comes home from her date, and like I said, she's wearing the opposite of sex, which is the gigantic balloon hat.
She's definitely pregnant at this point. She's wearing a whole ass poncho.
Yeah. And carrying a bunch of huge oversized shopping bags. And then...
look at that poncho. Look at what Holly Marie Combs is wearing.
Yeah, it is a pregnancy poncho for sure. And then the perfect man comes in, pushing Wyatt in a stroller.
Leo gets his heckles up immediately. He's all, who are you?
And then they're like, oh wait, we've been together all day and we haven't given him a name yet.
And... oh my god. The way this guy talks, it's awful. It's horrible. It's the worst thing.
He's the perfect man. He's like, Leo, you don't have to be threatened by me. I will never replace you in Wyatt's eyes.
And Leo's like, who the fuck is this guy?
He's like, you don't have to be jealous. I'm going to die in 5 hours.
And I'm A-okay with that. And he starts he takes Wyatt out of the room and he's singing to him. And Leo's like, no, seriously, what's going on?
And so the sisters explain that they created a man for Piper. They're like, hey, Leo, yeah, your ex-wife was going to give up on love, so we made a perfect man for her.
And Chris is so weirded out by this, which
is correct.
Yes. I love Chris so much. He's so pissed off.
I like that Paige is like, we just don't want her to give up on love, so basically he's just here long enough to get her horny and then leave.
But imagine being Chris. You're from a post-apocalypse. You're trying to stop your brother from turning evil and killing everyone. And you go back in time to do this, and your aunts are farting around all the time, getting turned into weird bullshit, and summoning dudes to have sex with.
Okay, in fairness, in the episode where he went to the future and we saw the future, we saw that the manor had been turned into a museum that, amongst other things, showcased all of the costumes from the weird bullshit they got turned into, so he should have been prepared for that.
Yes, fair. But, I mean, I think it's different hearing about something and then, seeing it happen in front of your face.
Are you saying that him going back in time is like, don't meet your heroes?
Yeah, I guess. It kind of reminds me of... Do you remember that time travel show that had...
Best Friends Whenever?
No. The one that had Max from Happy...
Timeline?
Was it Timeline?
No.
I really enjoyed it. You didn't care for it as much. Adam Pawley is that actor's name.
Oh, yeah, the one where they time traveled through the body bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
But one of the things I really enjoyed about it is, like, he's best friends with this history professor who he ends up taking back in time. And the whole series is the history professor being disenchanted by how awful everyone in history was all the time.
I mean, that's how it would go, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so fake Daryl shows up, and man... He does not set off the demon alarm, first of all, so these demon alarms are bullshit. He's like, hey, I'm here to see Wyatt. And they're like, we're having a party in like 2 hours. What are you doing here? And he's like, I just wanted to bring Wyatt a present before the party started so that he had a present too. And they're like, okay, no further questions.
So, fake Daryl walks around the crystals, which I guess is just something you can do.
No. They moved the crystal away from the baby's room so that the perfect man could get through in case the crystals thought he was a demon.
Why would they think that?
But they established that they were not protecting Wyatt. Like, they already... I don't know why they aren't, but they already established that.
Which is weird, because the whole point of the crystals is to protect him from... Oh my god, these people are so dumb.
You're right, Chris must be so disillusioned.
He's like, how did they live long enough for me to be born? Piper died when he was like 14. How did she last that long?
Right? Anyway, Daryl walks into Wyatt's nursery, and everyone's in there, and he's like, I'm just going to leave this present for Wyatt, so everybody go so that I can leave this present for Wyatt. And they all do. And because they think he's Daryl, even though Wyatt immediately puts up his shield after everyone's out of the room, because he's like, yeah, this isn't Daryl. What the fuck is wrong with everyone?
Poor Wyatt. It must be rough being the smartest person in the house as a literal baby.
Yes, right? So once he puts up his shield, the guy turns back into a demon because you may as well, I guess.
Yeah, he unwraps the wand because that was what was in the thing, and he starts, he turns off the baby monitor sinisterly and then starts absorbing Wyatt's bubble.
Ironically, turning off the baby monitor is what alerted Piper because she couldn't hear anything over the baby monitor. But since Wyatt's not making any noise, he probably would have been more successful if he had just left it on.
Yeah.
But Piper immediately runs back upstairs to check on Wyatt.
Wyatt's perfectly fine. She blows up the demon, easy peasy, pudding in pie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the thing, though. Wyatt is not perfectly fine, because apparently, even though he's in his bubble, they've waved the wand over him enough that now he's evil? I guess?
Sure, yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like, shouldn't we have seen them breaking the bubble, or, like, it getting through the bubble, or... I don't know, and this is one of the things, like, if they had played it differently, if it was just, like, a hypnotizing thing, and we saw him using something that didn't interact with the bubble, then it's like, yeah, the bubble might not protect from mind control. Like, if it was doing something else, but the fact that it was a beam that was failing to penetrate it, feels like...
Yeah, it should have been a mind control thing, and then we could see Wyatt put the bubble down.
Yeah. Like, he could put the bubble down as soon as Piper runs into,
Yeah. Then I would have... One minor FX change, and I would have accepted this entire premise.
Yeah. So, Piper has been convinced from this most recent demon attack that, yes, they do need to bind Wyatt's powers.
Okay, wait, no, this is what we need to talk about. She's been convinced to bind Wyatt's powers by the perfect man.
Because he's a representative of all of the things that she wants the most. So he understands her on a more deeper level than she understands herself, which is why he's talking for her this entire scene.
So she does want to bind his powers?
Then why not bind them?
I am so confused by this because the way the episode treats it, they treat it like he brainwashed her into being okay with it. But the reason he is even bringing it up is because he is a reflection of her desires.
Yeah.
So, what is happening?
Also, why did she flip so incredibly hard from this is a child of great destiny and I must do everything to preserve it to actually the other thing? Like, it feels like something should have happened. I don't know. But Chris does point out the fact that he was the one who made this argument first.
Poor Chris. He's like, that's exactly what I was saying. And then some hot guy comes in and says it. Now you're all on board. I was the hot guy last week. Chris, poor Chris. He was the hot young thing so recently, and now he's not.
Chris brings up the whole, vague evil future thing, and Paige shuts them down. She's like, look, if you're not going to tell us what it is, shut up.
You can't play the vague evil future card every week, jackass.
Which, you know what? Fair.
It's like Angel in the first season of Buffy. You just show up, say something evil's coming, and then disappear. No.
Yes. So, Phoebe's like, fuck you, Piper. It doesn't matter what you want because Wyatt is so fucking powerful that he needs the entire power of 3 to bind his powers, and I'm not going to agree to that. And Paige is like, yeah, me neither.
I'm okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it needs the power of 3 to bind his powers. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, they decide to name the perfect man David so that we conveniently can stop calling him the perfect man and actually have a name for him. And they give Wyatt to Leo to bring him up to the Elder so that we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Chris leads David upstairs, and he's like, so, can you explain how exactly Paige and Phoebe made you? And David is like, yes, they just wrote down everything that they thought Piper wanted, and one of those things was understanding everything she needs. Why? And Chris is like, no reason, and he immediately writes, like, everything Phoebe wants and throws it in.
And everything Paige wants. Okay, so... And then he pours in, like, the entire bottle of pheromones, so now everything's gonna be, like, silly drunk, as opposed to just, like, an attractive man.
I do really like him. When he does it, he's like, pheromones? And he just dumps the whole bottle in.
Yes. Okay, but this is how he's going to convince the other sisters to bind Wyatt's powers. Does that mean that they secretly wanted this too? And that's why he's able to, like... No? What does this mean? Why is him being sexy mind control powers?
Yeah, I don't get it. But Chris does toss in a thing that's, like, able to convince them all to bind Wyatt's powers, and which I don't think is how that should work.
That's not how that should work. That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. It's some bullshit. I mean, this show doesn't work without some bullshit.
It's kind of weird that they found out that Chris is a witch and they haven't talked to him about that at all.
That is weird.
Like, is he still serving as their white lighter?
Okay, they know he's half witch, half white lighter. How have we not come around to who he is yet?
Seriously.
Alright, so David, the perfect man, comes down and he starts rubbing Paige's shoulders, because, now he's for all 3 of them.
Yeah, and
Gross.
Yes, and Paige is like, I love your cologne, and he's like, that's my natural body odor, because you made me and I'm a fake person. And Chris comes downstairs and he's like, So I figured the best way to break the impasse between the three of you was to drug you up with sexy dude pheromones. So, hey, David, stick your chest in Phoebe's face.
Well, he's actually having them rub their shoulders, because women will do anything if you rub their shoulders.
I believe I've heard that, yes.
Oh. He's like, hey, Phoebe, I'm sexy and I'm here, not in Hong Kong. Isn't that hot? Like, literally, it's because, she's all upset that Jason's gallivanting around.
And it's fantastic because Chris is like, now how about we all bind Wyatt's powers? And then Daryl and his wife burst in, and Drew Fuller gives an epic eye roll. I love Chris in this episode. I always love Chris. But really, Drew Fuller is kind of hitting it on all cylinders here.
Yes.
I know we generally talk poorly about his acting abilities, but I'm really enjoying him in this episode.
Exasperated is exactly the level that he needs to be at, that he can play that.
Yeah, because as we've discussed, Chris is perpetually at a 3, and when he's supposed to be very angry, that doesn't work. But exasperated, you can be at a 3 and play exasperated.
Yes. Alright, so...
Paige summons a delicious birthday dinner for Piper.
Yep. Including a giant cake, which, as you said, was like Chekhov's cake, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna get thrown. I just love that all three sisters are hanging on this fake guy, and poor Daryl and Sheila, they're like, what the fuck? Why do we even come to this house anymore? Upstairs, the 3 guys from the Order show up in Wyatt's nursery, and Wyatt's gone, and they're like...
We'll get him. They can only keep him away for so long. We're just gonna hang out in this wall.
I think they turned invisible.
Yeah.
But, like...
Okay, downstairs we're having a Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf level awkward dinner party.
Yes! Yes, that's absolutely what's happening.
Like, the sisters are very upfront to Daryl and Mrs. Daryl that this is a man they have magically created for sex purposes. And Sheila's like, that's nice. And then he starts seducing Sheila, and Daryl's like, really regret telling my wife about you guys.
Chris is like in the corner banging his head on the wall.
It's fantastic. He's pacing back and forth. He's so frustrated.
Chris, you did this. I like that we see through each of the 3 sisters' eyes, this guy, and he's wearing a different outfit in all 3 sisters' eyes.
It's fantastic. He's wearing open shirts, but it's like it's like canvas with Phoebe, and it's leather with Paige.
I'm sorry, with Paige, he's wearing a leather jacket with no shirt underneath, which is a ridiculous look.
So Daryl grabs Chris as he's doing one of his walkarounds behind them, and he's like, is this a demon thing? And Chris is like, no, it's just stupid.
Chris is like, I wish it was a demon thing.
So Daryl and Sheila decide to leave, and Chris is walking them out when the girls start having a food fight. I actually have this bit as a GIF where they're throwing cake at each other, and Daryl and his wife leave, and Chris like kind of gives them a half-hearted wave as cake hits him.
Yeah. I like, Piper throws the cake at Paige. Paige orbs it away, and it hits Phoebe, like, straight in the face. Like, somebody was very excited for Alyssa Milano to get hit full in the face with that cake.
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. It's not cake. He gives Daryl and his wife a little half-hearted wave as they are running out the door, and a dinner roll just hits him square on the chest.
It's a great gif. Oh, poor Daryl.
So the perfect man leads the sisters upstairs because this is too silly for everyone.
I like that even the sisters are like not even gonna deal with it. They're like, haha, that was silly of us. All right, we don't need to have a whole thing about it.
Yeah, this isn't one of the situations where they use their powers against each other and then lose them. They're just being big sillies.
Yes, exactly. Leo comes back because everybody's being out of control, and when everyone's out of control, that's definitely the time to bring the baby back.
Oh my god, seriously. So they put Wyatt in the pack and play so the adults can have a conversation about how the sex man is making them all behave like literal children, which is a weird sentence when you think about it.
Yes, it is. They've decided to bind Wyatt's powers, but before they can do that, the 3 guys from the Order show up, and Wyatt casts his protective bubble, except now it includes those 3 guys from the Order.
Yeah, it blasts Leo across the room, and he flies into one of those plywood tables they seem to have a lot of up there.
Yeah, okay, because Wyatt's conception of good and evil has been flipped. So now things that he used to think were good, he thinks were evil. So if he put up the shield for things before, now he won't, and vice versa. Which does not make sense to me. Because, as I said, Wyatt doesn't trust Piper because she's a good witch. We know that because she's not. Wyatt trusts Piper because she's his mom. He's not going to all of a sudden be like, oh, she's good, so I should put up a bubble around her.
Yeah, it's weird. Everyone's mad at Chris because the pheromones have worn off or whatever, and now they're just mad about the baby getting kidnapped. And he's like, that's not on me. And they're like, yeah,
it is.
Is it?
It totally is.
Because they were distracted by the pheromone man?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if anything, it's on Leo for bringing his baby.
Well, I was going to say Leo wouldn't have come back if Chris hadn't done this.
Or it's on them for, A, summoning the sex man in the first place, and B, removing the protective stone from Wyatt's room so it wouldn't interfere with the sex man.
Look, if you can't safely summon a sex man, what are we even doing? Chris shouldn't be sabotaging their sex man, even if it is his mom.
So, they're preparing to banish Chris when Chris is like, look, he puts his shield up around me normally because he doesn't trust me, but now his morality's been flipped, so he will trust me because he thinks I'm evil, so I can rescue him from the cult.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And Chris is like, I need to rescue him because this cult is obviously the thing that turns him evil.
Oh, by the way, he's being turned evil. I think this is the first time I'm actually mentioning that.
No, this is him. He slips up. He's like, oh, I mean the thing that might kill him. And it's like, this is where he slips up and it's like, yeah, I'm not actually here to keep him from being killed. I'm here to keep him from turning evil.
So, they're not actually holding the baby in
Yeah, downstairs in Stonehenge. They have the fakest looking doll that has ever faked. And, you know, I feel bad for them because, like, on set, they couldn't have the baby.
Yeah.
You make do with what you have.
But that thing looks like it weighs nothing.
Well, it's half the size of Wyatt.
Yeah.
And, anyway, they're performing a ceremony on what is obviously a doll when everyone orbs in.
Yeah. Phoebe's kicking dudes left, right, and center. Paige is just, she kind of whips a potion that spills out of a bottle and blows up a bunch of guys, which is not typically how we see potions working, but I think it's cool.
She whips a potion and takes out 3 guys at once.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Piper's just blowing them up because they can all blow up. But the one guy who I guess is the
main guy.
The main guy, I won't say the leader, since Wyatt's the leader. He's in a protective bubble. Wyatt is protecting him.
Yeah. And Chris jump tackles it. Like, the guy summons a fireball to fireball the charmed ones from within the protective thing of Wyatt. Chris dives on him so that he falls on his own fireball and then tosses the
cheap wand.
The cheap wand out of the bubble, and he's posing dramatically, and he's like, shoot it at Wyatt. It'll make him good again. We have actual Wyatt now, not a doll, but he's wearing a dumb little evil robe.
So,
dumb little evil baby robe.
Piper picks up the wand and she points it at Wyatt, and now he's good, and he lets his bubble down because now his morality has been flipped back. But also he's not putting up a bubble around Chris anymore because now he realizes Chris is good.
Yeah, he trusts Chris. And now upstairs,
on top of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes, Chris is sitting musing musefully on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and Leo blorps up to have a little father-son chat.
He's like, Chris, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. You have lost my trust. Because you lied, and now you're being a smartass about it. How do we not know he's his dad?
Seriously. This is such a dad speech. And emo Chris asks for Leo's help. He's like, what can I do? How can I get them to trust me? And Leo's like, well, you could stop lying and manipulating them constantly. And Chris is like, oh, I don't want to stop lying and manipulating them. And Leo's like, for what it's worth, you've got my trust. And Chris is like, yeah, that's worth basically nothing, but thank you.
Well, Leo's like, you did save my son from evil. And Chris is like, for now. Because he is emo. He's emo Chris. Back at the manor, Piper goes to say goodbye to the perfect man because he's going to stop existing. And I guess she never really had sex with him, did she?
Yeah, she didn't, which is weird. It was the whole reason he exists. Although she did point out that he cleaned up everything that happened, and he's like, yeah, I'm the perfect guy. Of course I clean up after everything.
That is nice.
Yeah.
He said that he is coming to say goodbye to her before he disappears. He already said goodbye to her sisters. I wonder if he had sex with them.
Probably.
Okay, now here's the question. We talked about consent, but here's the real question.
Yeah.
Is it cheating?
No.
Really?
I think they're all cool with it.
Oh, no. Is Paige cheating on Richard? She has sex.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
It's weird you said Paige and Richard and not Phoebe and Jason.
Whichever.
So, he mentions again that he's okay with, the fact that he's about to die because he was built that way, and Piper's like, weird, but let's just move on past that. It's like, well, we would have if you didn't keep bringing it up. But he's like, don't give up on love.
Yeah, they have a super romantic kiss. Super gooey kiss.
Yeah. And he's like, happy birthday, Piper. And just blows up into a huge cloud of viscera.
That is not true. Do not listen to him. He goes away in a field of light. Like you would want the perfect man to go away.
Just goo everywhere.
Oh.
So, Piper, having been convinced not to give up on love, goes upstairs, tucks in Wyatt, and finally opens the birthday gift that Leo sent. And it's that charm bracelet that they've awkwardly mentioned 2 different points in this episode. We just mentioned it the first time, but it has come up twice.
Yes.
So this is the payoff. And boy, is it ugly.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that I actually forgot about the charm bracelet. Because I was just like, why would he give this to her? It's the ugliest ass charm bracelet I have ever seen. This is like what a 12-year-old boy buys for his middle school girlfriend.
Apparently, yeah. So, but apparently it was something Child Piper wore, so whatever. Yeah, this episode's actually pretty fun.
No, it is. It's a fun episode. And like I said, it's way more fun than last week's.
Yes. Which is weird because this premise is so much worse.
Right? I think that's just a lesson for us, right? That maybe high premise doesn't equal a good episode. Yeah. So next time we will be talking about used karma. And the description on Peacock is...
Phoebe's boyfriend leaves her after learning that she, Paige, and Piper are actually witches. Okay, but the episode after that, we get Gideon. So, Season 6, Episode 14, we know that Gideon is in it, so maybe he'll be in the next episode? Who knows?
See, I don't think so. I think Episode 14 is the first time we get him. I don't think we're going to get him in 13.
But at least we know that we get him soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the next one, so not 13, but 14, is the first Magic School one.
Okay.
But I think that's it for this week's episode.
Yeah, that'll about do it. Much like the Charmed ones, we have our own power of 3. The first power in our pack is Premonition. There was no one. You would recognize no one. The Latin guy was no one.
He's who you would expect to have, like, the high-profile star. No.
Handsome man.
Yep. Guy McHandsomson.
The second power in our pack is Time Freeze. What specifically dated this episode? Honestly, nothing really.
Oh, when Phoebe's on the phone with Jason, and when she hangs up and Paige says, "When are you going to tell him you're a witch?" She says, "I want to tell him, not AT&T."
Oh,
that felt very of the time. That felt very dated to me.
Which is weird because AT&T's still a thing.
Yeah, but that kind of like.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say that.
Yeah. So that was my time freeze, my little time freeze.
And telekinesis. What, if anything, genuinely moved you? I was genuinely moved during the food fight when the dinner roll hit Chris on the chest. That was hilarious. I loved it.
I was genuinely moved when the perfect man emerged naked from the cauldron.
That was the perfect time for butt cleavage. Come on, Charmed. This is the W. We've seen what you have the sisters wear.
But yeah, that lets you know where we are in this episode.
Yeah. We didn't really have any, major powers, but it was fun. This was a fun episode.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed watching it. I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah.
I don't say that every week.
Witch Stock was such a letdown. How?
Yeah.
But we're on to bigger and better things. We're getting Magic School. The episode where Phoebe becomes a genie is coming up. Okay, wait. Is the next episode the one with the French stripper ghost? Because I thought that Phoebe was still dating Jason in the episode with the French stripper ghost. Maybe she dates another rich, powerful guy later, and that's the one with the French stripper ghost?
I do not have an answer for you.
Oh my god, they do the same premise twice this season. Season 6, episode 20. Paige conjures Mr. Right for stress relief, but accidentally releases his evil twin, Mr. Wrong.
That episode's called A Wrong Day's Journey into Right.
Oh my god.
Alright, I think we're done. I think we're done for right now.
Yes.
Alright, our show is partially listener supported. If you want to be one of those supporters, head over to our website, www.welcometotelevision.net, and click on our Patreon link. We'd like to thank our current $5 and above patrons: Beryl, Patricia, Rosa, Ryan, Maricruz, Benjamin, Kate, Jen, Dan, Anthony, and Daniel.
If you'd like to support the show in other ways, you could always rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find the show.
If you want to talk about this episode, or any episode of any television show, you can email us at ilovetelevisionzines@gmail.com, or you can find us on Blue Sky at Welcome to Television.
So until next time, I'm Max.
And I'm Tina.
And this has been Welcome to the Halliwell Manor.